So Fernanda Jimenez is a DACA recipient from Ecatepec, Mexico, who proudly calls both Mexico and Wisconsin home. She is a longtime organizer and abolitionist in the immigrant rights movement. Her journey began at the age of 14 with Voces de la Frontera and its youth branch, Yes, where she fought for pro-immigrant policies at both the state and national levels while defending immigrant communities against anti-immigrant legislation. Now Fernanda is the founder of a new branch of Voces, Comité Sin Fronteras. This committee was created for young adults in their careers to continue investing their leadership skills in immigrant organizing. With immigrant communities constantly under attack, Fernanda and her comrades in the Comité are leading rapid response networks to defend and protect their communities. Through its newest initiative, Comité Sin Fronteras is organizing from an abolitionist perspective, building power and resistance in the fight for immigrant justice. Mario Rubia is a DACA recipient from Mexico City. Mario is focused on the equitable and just treatment of immigrants. He believes that no one should have to fear persecution for seeking a better life. Welcome, and you can either stand or have a seat as you wish. Okay.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us to today's luncheon. As you mentioned, my name is Fernanda and this is Mario. We're two of the Comité leaders at Comité Sin Fronteras, also known as Committee Without Borders, for those who need the translation. And Comité Sin Fronteras actually started around August, so we almost have our 1-year anniversary of beginning this new branch of Voces de la Frontera and Voces de la Frontera Action. So you'll hear about our anniversary pretty soon. And yeah, so that's what Comité Sin Fronteras is. So more about what Comité Sin Fronteras is, as we explained, we are a new organization, part of Voces de la Frontera, or a new branch, part of Voces de la Frontera and Voces de la Frontera Action, so the C3 and C4. We have an abolitionist vision towards the immigrant rights movement. For so long, the immigrant rights movement has worked and fought for immigration reform, for a pathway to citizenship, for what we know what's called DACA, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which Mario and I are both recipients of. And for so many years, honestly decades, of us fighting for a pathway, we have all been fed up. Fed up of having to negotiate our rights, fed up of having to negotiate our humanity, using our labor, exploiting our labor to define why we deserve a pathway to citizenship. And so many people like us had come together. Most of us are either DACA recipients, undocumented immigrants, or children of immigrants who have really been tired of some of these politicians we've worked with to negotiate a pathway for our parents and for us, and constantly being told, not right now, or we need to do this first, or maybe not that way, maybe not that language. And for us, some people who are not just hard workers, but who believe in our humanity, we want to fight for something that is actually non-negotiable for immigrants. And so that's why we created Comité Sin Fronteras. A lot of us are learning abolitionists, some of us are much stronger abolitionists, and we want to invite that narrative to all of our immigrant community, not just DACA recipients, not just children of immigrants, but our parents as well, to understand why we need to fight with a much more bold and clear message for a pathway to citizenship and beyond. Because we know that immigration justice is not just a pathway to citizenship. It is a lot more than that. It's layered, actually, than just a pathway to citizenship. So again, a collective of young adults started as all of us actually are, like I said, documented, undocumented, organizers and abolitionists, dedicated for reform and beyond. And where do we come from? So, as we mentioned, we're part of Voces de la Frontera, we're a branch, but many of us actually started in Youth Empowered in the Struggle. I don't know, has anyone here heard of Yes? So for those who don't know, Yes is their youth branch. It's mostly high school students and college students who join this branch of Voces. What Yes does is they fight for students, workers, teachers' rights, and they not only have campaigns in the schools to improve their schools, but they also work in campaigns outside the schools. So a lot of Yes students have fought for DACA, which we have now. A lot of Yes students have fought for Dream Act, which was what we wanted to win back then when we were fighting for DACA. And some of the people that you see in this picture, this was like in 2016, are now in their 20s, They're in their careers or in their work fields. They're no longer students, they're no longer kids. Some of them have families, kids, and they are looking for a place to organize. And because there is a gap in the immigrant rights movement, specifically here in Wisconsin, if you're not a student, so for you to be part of YES, and if you're not an older immigrant, for you to be able to organize at Voces, where do you organize? Where can you grow as a leader, as an organizer in the immigrant rights movement here in Wisconsin? And that's where we've identified that gap, and we decided to create Comité Sin Fronteras, where it's about the generation of young adults who either finished college or high school and now they're just so deep into their careers and they want to, make a family and get married and all this stuff that they lose themselves in how they can grow in their community and how they continue to fight for justice in the immigrant rights movement. And Comité is that leadership pipeline of not letting people get lost and not being part of the community. And like I said, a lot of us come from Voces or YES, if you can go to the next. And we all started from different campaigns, different generations. Some of our members are actually from like 2010, 2009, where they fought for DACA and they won it. They were fighting for Dream Act. And then from people in 2017, 2018 who continued the fight, trying to protect DACA under the first Trump presidency, when we had Paul Ryan as our Speaker of the House, our congressmen. Our campaigns were different, but the fight was the same. Continuing to demand for a pathway to citizenship, continuing to defend our immigrant community against this fascist rhetoric and fascist actions. And now we're in the same boat, where we're still fighting, we're still trying to demand our humanity and our pathways and why we deserve this. And a lot of our leaders in the Comité are, a lot of these people in the pictures, some are not there, but different generations, different campaigns, but we're still in this fight to this day, continuing to demand immigrant justice. Here's just some more pictures of different actions we've had, like a sanctuary movement. So the reason NPS is a safe zone. No ICE can come into schools. Schools are able to teach Know Your Rights workshops. The reason that NPS can do so is because actually YES students, undocumented YES students fought for that resolution and won it here in NPS. For me, I was actually in Racine, so I come from Racine. We started the resolution in Racine, but we didn't win it in Racine, but we were able to win it here in Milwaukee. And a lot of these people who are now in the Comité Sin Fronteras have had that experience of organizing because they were students in high school trying to protect their communities and their families. They were able to win some campaigns, some we were not. We did some hunger strikes to demand Paul Ryan to speak in favor of DACA recipients when he was silent, when DACA was being attacked, and other campaigns and events we've done where it really shows that a lot of these people have had so much experience in organizing, and we don't want to lose that in our communities. We want to continue to grow that leadership. And who are we now? So I gave you a whole spiel of what we've done, how we've gotten there, where we come from, where are we now? This is where we are now. Our first campaign, or our first event was actually last year, October. For those who, I'm sure you all heard, DACA has been constantly attacked in the courts. It's been in limbo for so long. There has been multiple people who've been saying that DACA recipients are a danger in our society, trying to get rid of this program, they did end the program for people to renew. The people who have already been in the program can continue to renew, but not new applicants. So because of these attacks, people like us in the Comité wanted to do an event about speaking on these attacks of DACA and how it's been now 13 years with this program that's temporary. It's only meant to be a protection from deportation and work authorization, no pathway to citizenship. I call it a subscription to the United States, because that's all you do is you pay for you to be able to stay in this country and to work, that's all. And we're constantly having to negotiate. Can we stay? Can we get a pathway? Look at all this we've done. Look how this is our country. This is what we call home. And in this event, we decided to change that narrative. we decided to really be bold on not negotiating and demanding for that pathway, demanding for us as the young adults in this community and in this immigrant rights movement to fight for something more clear and bold. And part of that was holding accountable the Democratic Party. In October, as we know, this was before during the presidential elections and the campaigns, the Dems were not very pro-immigrant. They were not speaking in favor of us. They were not talking about immigrants as pro-immigrants. And we were having that conversation. It was really difficult as undocumented immigrants who are constantly having to fight for that narrative to change. And we had this event, it's called Dreamers, Vital to America, but Denied a Future, where we spoke out, we had a press conference, and we made a statement on why it's so important to hold both parties accountable, not just the Republican Party, but also the Democratic Party. That there's been so many years of us fighting with them and having to negotiate, and yet we're still here, 13 years later, continuing to negotiate, and we haven't gotten anywhere. And so that was our first event. Mario, do you want to say anything else about this event?
Yeah, for our first event, a lot of people came out, and we had food, and there was dance. But, in some of the pictures, you can see people like physically tear up as we had an altar in the center of the pavilion, and then that altar was then featured at Walker Center. Walker's
Center for the Arts.
Center for the Arts for the other muertos kind of walk around. So it was very nice. So we were able to get kind of deep into the community and bring some people who normally wouldn't come to events like these, but that relation to either crossing the border or losing someone at the border is very strong towards them. So one of the things that Comité Sin Fronteras has done is something that's very tangible is for renewing the DACA of other people who have received DACA and doing that for free. So normally that's a $495 cost if you're doing it online, and if you're doing it in paper, it's $500. Yeah, it's $625, and that's every 2 years. So if you're counting, I have 3 DACA renewals under me, so that's like been about $1,500 every 2 years. And then apart from that, you have to add on the lawyer's fee, which is probably, I think last time I paid was about another $500. So it's about $1,200 when all is said and done every 2 years. So I'm about $4 grand, and that's just like not easy to do for everybody. And especially when I was applying, I was 18, so that money wasn't coming in like that, and I had to sometimes provide a large portion of it because my parents couldn't afford to essentially pay the lawyer's fee and then also pay on top of that the DACA fee. So we were able to provide a lot of these to the people that came out and showed out for these renewals. We had a guy drive from Madison to Racine to get his renewal done. And you can see here in these images, you can see people coming in their work clothes. People come in their work clothes, and people come in with their family and their kids, and we all just, we welcomed them as they came. So there was really no barrier of entry to coming and get into a renewal, apart from just a transportation. And we did 2 in Milwaukee and 2 in Racine, and I think in total we did, how many?
54 free DACA renewals. And we were able to fundraise for us to pay for all of the DACA renewals, so we're very thankful for a lot of organizations and individual donors who gave some of this money for us to pay for DACA recipients renewals. Like Mario mentioned, it's over $600 to pay every 2 years just to work. And during this time, this was like November, December, where Trump had won, and the one fearful thing for DACA recipients was what's going to happen to DACA. Because it's an executive order, can he get rid of this program? There's been so many threats of DACA continuing. Everyone was afraid. And the first thing that everyone nationally was telling us, renew as fast as you can. Even if you lose jobs, you need to renew now before something happens and then you no longer have DACA, or you only have like a month or 2 left of your permit. So our first reaction was, well, we need to provide support to our community, and this is the way to provide support. All of those people that are with their fist up, many of them are undocumented, are documented, some are allies or comrades in the movement. At this time, or at this moment, everyone learned how to do a DACA renewal. So Yuseli and I were the two who have had experience doing DACA renewals, and we taught everyone in the committee how to do one so that we were able to provide this DACA clinic for free for all the DACA recipients. Every single person that we provided a DACA renewal clinic was approved. So they all got it back, and it was great. So we were like, okay, good, we did it right. We told them we're not attorneys, but we know how to do this. It's very easy. It's easy to do. We just have to provide it, and we got the money, and we were able to pay for it. We were able to pay for all of theirs, and we continue to do these DACA clinics. Sometimes they're a lot smaller, or if people reach out to us and they're like, I really cannot pay for this. This is an expense I don't have right now. We invite them to come to the office, the Voces office, and we do it for free, and we just get it done real quick. Did you have a question?
Yes. Have you guys spoken to organizations within Marquette and Madison about this, especially like the law schools?
We have talked to someone at Marquette. We haven't worked with them yet, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and reach out to them. You can give me my name if you want. I'll give you my card. Marquette has a clinic where they sponsor DACA recipients as well as provide like not only like the legal aspect of it, but like money as well.
Okay. That'd be great. Yes. Okay. I'll talk
Yeah.
to you after. Don't leave. But yeah, so that was one of our continuing campaign that we're doing.
And then, what is our community defense? In front of you, you have a sheet. That is that white sheet right there. It's in English, and in the back it's in Spanish. As you can see, we're kind of broken down into 4 main things, which is Amigo Watch, Solidarity Action, Mutual Aid, and Sanctuary. With Amigo Watch comes one of our most popular things from Comité Sin Fronteras, which is a verifier training, which I don't know if you've raised your hand if you've taken the verifier training. Yeah, see, then we have a room of people that need to take it. So if you go to our Instagram, or we can talk afterwards, we can get you signed up to take one of those trainings. It's about 1 hour and 30 minutes. They're usually at the Voces offices, and it's very low risk and it's very easy to just navigate through. And the verifier training helps you become part of our network. So when there's a possible ICE sighting or a possible arrest happening, you can go down and verify if this is true or not, because one of the main things that's been happening a lot is that there's been a lot of misinformation when it comes to ICE sightings and ICE detainees, which kind of set us back because it causes fear in the community where there might not necessarily have to be fear. That also kind of just makes it really hard to just navigate throughout your daily life if you're an immigrant and you're hearing about things happening around you that may not be happening. So that way it allows us to provide a clear way of verifying, is it an arrest? Is it just police and an unmarked car? And if it is an arrest, or if it is a sighting, then we go throughout the neighborhood and we canvass, we hand out Know Your Rights, we let people know what happened without giving crucial information away from possibly someone who might have been affected. And then the families that are affected can come to us, and then we can divulge into mutual aid or sanctuary. Do they need a place to go? Do they need diapers? Do they need food? Because sometimes the people that are caught are the main providers of income towards the family. So we have to think about the lawyer fees, and rent. So it's very devastating when something like this happens to a family, but because of the situation, because they're immigrants, they have to spring right into action and figure out, lawyers, rent, food, who's going to take the kids to school, who's going to pick them up, And if there's a case of solidarity action, sometimes someone gets taken away and it's someone's father or it's someone who just dropped their kid off from school. Do we need to do a march? Do we need to do a vigil? Do we need to do a picket? What comes from these kidnappings, essentially? There has to be a public outcry.
And then in that paper, we have some other areas, so like Know Your Rights and the Voces hotline number. So we have other trainings. So many of you all that are attorneys and judges know your rights and how to do so with the community. But these are for anyone who might be interested in doing some of these trainings, or if you as well want to just know how the trainings are happening at Voces and how we're bringing in the community to be involved as much as they can. You can take these trainings as well. Like you said, the verifier trainings are for everyone and anyone. We try not to promote those trainings to undocumented immigrants because we do not want them to be in front of a potential federal agent. But we try to get as many citizens or naturalized citizens that we trust in the community to be verifiers, to respond quickly. But it's also just depending on where you're at. If there is ICE around that area, if everyone knows what the protocols are in our region, it's the easier the process is for us to be able to try to defend and protect someone who's potentially getting detained, and know how to support them after if they are detained. And yeah, so if you are interested in doing any of these trainings, please scan the QR code and you can just fill out the form so that we can contact you and get you in the right training. And then this is our main campaign right now, so the Community Defense Network, also known as Rapid Response, which that's how you've heard of it nationally. We just like this name, it's much cooler. And like Mario was mentioning, all of these buckets of work have to do with defending and protecting an immigrant family or an individual who is in need of protection, and to really fight ICE is our main goal.
And then if you are with an organization that is helping immigrants or is immigrant facing, the number down here is the emergency line that they can call and put in a report if there's a potential ICE sighting or if there's a detaining going down. So they can call this, just have them save it on their phone, just for easier access, but just an ask.
It's also in your red cards, which if you already have them, but that's just good to have because it's the hotline number right there.
So where do we want to be? You know, we want to be in an area where we're prepared, where we have enough verifiers throughout the city to be put into action when something is going to happen, because, you know, we have to face things, and the reality that we are is that it's only going to get much worse. We're looking at somebody who does not like being told no and pushes the line constantly with both the military power and the judicial power. So where do we want to be? We want to be prepared, and we want to be, like Fernanda said, this is our only campaign, this is not our only campaign happening. We want to be in a place where, you know, there are no borders. We're Comité Sin Fronteras. You know, we want to be in a place where you can travel around and not have to fear because of your status. But we have to face where we are right now, and that is to be prepared. So, you know, we want more people to be in the verifier trainings. We want more people to be with us and be educated about things we might have going on in the future with solidarity action and getting people trained on actions and how to do a picket line and how to, you know, be trained in more of these actions.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned, our main goal is abolishing ICE in the future. That's a long-term goal. We're not there yet, but we really want to stick with the narrative of abolition, and not in a scary way. Like for many folks, the word abolition can be terrifying. What do you mean abolishing? Abolition is a learning vision and mission in our movement of how we can get rid of these systems that were never meant for us and that do not work for our communities, do not work for our people, and creating systems that do work for our communities and for our people. And that's what we're essentially doing. That's what the Community Defense Network is as the phrase that goes, el pueblo salva al pueblo, the community saves the community. That's what we're doing, and that's what we're trying to continue as we grow, and not just Comité Sin Fronteras and at Voces, but in all of our regions here in Wisconsin, because we are statewide. So a lot of this work is being replicated in other counties. So we're growing in Racine, and we're trying to grow in other areas like Green Bay and Madison. So if you know any folks in other counties of Wisconsin, we would love to connect with them so that we can support these other counties and all the work that we have done. And then I just want to reiterate that all of this work is done by undocumented and documented immigrant folks that are leading these movements, that are demanding for what we have been fighting for and have been saying boldly and clearly to community members and to politicians and all of them, that this is what we're going to continue to fight for. And if you are interested, we'd love to be more connected and involved with you all as we continue to fight and protect our communities. And you want to go to the next slide? That's a QR code, so the same QR code that's in the paper, you can scan it there too. It's just a form if you are interested in working with us in whatever capacity you have, or if you want to provide some information that we don't know. We're not experts, but we work with a lot of people who are experts in our community so that we can continue to do this work. So you can scan the QR code, sign up in the form. It just gives you can just fill out the information, and there's an area in that form that you can provide, like, I'd like to just give some information on this and that, or however you'd like to be involved. That's really it. That's what Comité Sin Fronteras is. Any questions, concerns, complaints?
You probably said this, but how, in terms of funding you, and I'm assuming you get grants and you apply for grants, but how can individuals donate to support specifically the work that you're doing versus Voces and Voces
Yes.
Action?
So you can donate to Voces, just have to make a clear, there's a area if you go to the Voces website, you put in funding for Community Defense Network or Comité Sin Fronteras, then there's a coding that goes directly to the work that we're doing.
And it's considered 501c3 tax?
Correct,
deductible?
yes, yeah, it is considered by one street.
So are you connecting with or interacting with similar groups across the country? And is there an effort to reach out to our legislators on these issues? How is that being organized?
For national organizations, we've worked with a few organizations that Voces is connected to. So one of them is Siembra, North Carolina, who created what is called Community Defense Network. They created that whole area of work in under the first presidency of Trump, and we worked with them to replicate that here in Wisconsin. We also work with other organizations in California who are fighting a much different fight right now, and trying to learn from them. We're hoping that does not happen in Wisconsin, but we also need to prepare for the worst. So we have been working with our national organization coalition. Voces is also connected to firms. It's the Fair Immigrant Rights Movement, which is all national immigrant rights organizations. So we've connected with them, and as of legislation, we have not prioritized with legislators at this moment. Our main focus is right now trying to protect as many families as we can from these quick detainments, kidnaps that are happening in our community. But it is something we're discussing. I just want to be able to give you a great answer right now.
No, that's fine. I just sometimes, and maybe it's Voces would be more appropriate, but in terms of being able to be notified if there's something going on nationally, that we
yeah.
could, weigh in with people through representatives or senators, or, because eventually there needs to be some legislation.
Oh, yes. If you want to fill out the form and put that information out, so we do send out newsletters for all that comes up and what we might need help from other individuals, organizations. We also have membership meetings at Voces. It's monthly. And then we have Comité general membership meetings that if you want to fill out that form, we send that information to you so you have that in advance and you can come and bring these concerns, or we would let you know whatever's happening next. Thank you.
Do you have any contact or network of law firms that you work with here in Milwaukee?
Yeah, we have so we work, because we're under Voces, so we have a few law firms that we work with, and individual lawyers that have been providing not just legal advice, but legal support. So, I don't know if I can, but Rich Sachs has been one of our support, Mark Christopher and Zabrowski Law, but we are interested in working with other firms as we know that there's just such a need.
The only reason why I'm asking is because I worked in Chicago. I worked as a translator for the immigration court down there, and a lot of the things that we were seeing before the ACLU actually got involved in Chicago was that people were asked to plead guilty on criminal charges that automatically barred them for immigration purposes. So that's something that it would be very important to like notify and make myself known. Please correct me if I'm wrong. because
No,
I'm-
no, no, that's right, that's, yeah.
The basics.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, that's important to know. We've also been working with some of organizations in Waukegan and Chicago who are closer to that area. So I'd be interested to know who you all are connected with too, because we're right there. So whenever we do need to reach out to folks that are being taken down there after Dodge County, or if it's not Dodge County, we scramble with our connections. And Christine has her connections. So yeah, if we could have a better process down there, that'd be great.
Oh, no, mine's quick. Well, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, in order to be involved somewhat, does one have to be fluent in Spanish? And related to that, does Voces extend beyond the Hispanic or Latino community?
So for your first question, no. There's the verifier training. We say that you do not do bilingual. It's great if you are bilingual when it comes to communicating with like neighbors, but it is not needed. Honestly, this work it's about every single individual that is willing to help us. We've been noticing that we need more people to be part of this work so that we can respond quickly. So you do not need to know Spanish. When we do need someone to do bilingual, we have folks that are ready to do those parts. And then for your second question, what was your second question again? Sorry.
The second related to that was whether or not Voces extends beyond the Latino community to all the other immigrant communities.
That's been one of our struggles since we created Comité is branching out to other communities. We're currently trying to work with some Hmong organizers, and part of that is translating it. Like all of our lit and our trainings, we've been working with an organizer who's interested in bringing this to their community, and that's like that's just one community that we're trying to branch out to. But the other communities have been a little difficult to get to. But it's something that Comité has recognized that the diversity needs to be improved. Because in Voces, it's always been a struggle. But in the Comité, a lot of us are younger adults that are noticing that there's more than just Latinos that are immigrants, that are undocumented, even documented. So we're working with organizers who work in those communities to try to get to their community into the work. It's a work in progress, but we recognize that there's a lack of diversity in providing that information to all immigrants in our regions.
I just wonder if you're tracking like volume. That's what I'm wondering.
For detainments?
Yeah.
Yes. So whenever we get calls from that hotline number, the reason we tell people to call the hotline number, we have people who are trained to document all of those calls. And then from there, we have our process that goes into dispatch, which we go through that in the verifier training. After people call the hotline number, responders send that information to a dispatcher. The two of us are actual dispatchers, so we automatically have to respond. We activate our verifiers, and we have a map, it's all figured out, where we contact our verifiers. From there, we contact whoever's available and who's around the area where there might potentially be ICE. They respond with their training that they did on how you talk to federal agents, what you do, what don't you do, and from there we track all of that information. So we have all of that documented.
And do you know like roughly how many instances you've responded to?
From the past month, responded, and this will include not actual ICE sightings, just potential ICE sightings, and then were debunked. It was around 25 to 30, but we get a lot of calls that sometimes we don't get to respond to, so we haven't been able to document those. But the ones we have documented just this past month has been 25 to 30.
Are you aware of ICE having a significant presence in the suburbs Hill and Greenfield, I know we have, Hispanic, I think we have immigrants in Greenfield. Are you aware of that? Has there been arrests in the suburbs, or they're just concentrating pretty much on Milwaukee?
It's been mostly in the south side. We haven't seen any in the suburbs, not yet. I hope we never do. But we haven't seen any in the suburbs. It's really just been south side areas, like mostly around National Avenue and Mitchell Street, or around Mitchell Street. That's where we've been seeing most of the ICE sightings. Yeah.
So on your question about lawyers and having maybe a list, I have some state bar connections, and I would say that in the past we've done trainings, like we did a training for expungement, and then we had a clinic, and we had a bunch of lawyers show up and help people do their expungement papers. So we probably could do the same in terms of gathering names of lawyers who don't know how to do a DACA, but they're not hard. I know they're not that hard. And then you could help us train, and then you'd have a list of people who you could call. So I think we should coordinate. I mean, if Marquette's doing it, you know, that's great, and maybe that's enough. But if it's not, then we could probably get other lawyers involved.
Yeah, that would
Nice for you to have like that backing too, because you know if an attorney feels very passionate about that particularly one case, like they will take it all the way.
Yeah, it depends on their level of experience. Yeah.
Yes, so that would be great. Right now we've been exhausting our lawyers that we work with. And at least that's my opinion. We're going to need more attorneys that are able to help as things escalate. So a list would be wonderful.
Okay, so maybe we could talk separately about like what kind of
please.
trainings you could help with, because it's going to be people who don't do necessarily immigration law, but who could learn the basics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Any other questions or? Yeah.
I'm doing this is an advertisement. I'm doing the verifier training 1 to 3 on July 5th, which is a Saturday. So just people, when they sign up, they'll see me there.
Yes, and just for more information on July 5th, so it's at the Voces office. If you don't know where the Voces office is, it's 733 West Historic Mitchell Street, 1 to 3. We provide lunch, so feel free to come. Take in the information that we're giving out. It's been a lot of hard work from not just the undocumented immigrants who've done this, but a lot of our other organizations that we've worked with. A lot of them are Milwaukee Turners who've helped us create these trainings. Some of them are other organizations and other community members. And then give feedback too. We always appreciate feedback. What else can we provide in these trainings? Especially from experts like you all. What else is important for community members to know as they're talking to federal agents and talking to these people who might not even be federal agents, but are acting like federal agents, which is another conversation. But yeah.
I made a handout for the verifier training QR code. If you
Oh,
want
yes.
to pass it around and share.
Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, of course. You take as many as you guys want, and I can go print more. But then you guys can take that to your communities and share it. If anyone might not have the QR code directly in front of them, then you can have it on your person.
And there's other dates, so if you cannot do July 5th, we have them every first and third Saturday of the month here in Milwaukee. We're going to be holding our first Racine verifier training pretty soon. Not this weekend, but possibly in 2 weeks. So if you know anyone in Racine, please let them know. We're starting our community defense network in Racine real soon. We're seeing ICE a lot more in Racine, and we recognize that we need more people to be engaged in those areas. So if you know anybody, please let us know too.
Just the verifier trainings are the 1st and 3rd through September currently.
Correct. Yes,
So,
through September right now, which we have. There's time, so you have a few more to choose from. But from there, we'll update the dates. But for now, yeah, up to September, the 1st and 3rd Saturdays. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you have any like group trainings just for communities? I know I have like a network of just different churches, Spanish churches. A lot I know are full immigrants that come from a lot of different places. So I don't know if you do like a session or something that you could just do present kind of like these rights or just for these.
Yes. So part of our solidarity team, sanctuary team is, what they do is they work with congregations, organizations, and unions to get them involved in the network, so that we're providing them verifier trainings, know your rights trainings, or anything that they need. So if you, actually that is part of sanctuary, now that I remember. So if you want to work with us with a list of churches, that would be great, because we're developing, or I know that sanctuary is developing a list, but the more you are connected with, the better for us, so that we know who's to trust and who can we work with. Yeah. Okay. Well, that'd be great. Thank you. I think I saw a hand up somewhere.
Oh, no, you sort of answered it with that. Thanks.
What was that? Sorry.
Oh, you sort of answered it. Well, I guess my question was if you're working with the labor movement unions, in which
Yes.
it sounds like that's part of it.
Yes, sir. But if you have a list, as you know, we're creating our list of people we trust and people we have connections with, and then we're working from there. So if you have folks that you want to connect us with to get them involved in these trainings and this network, it makes our jobs easier. So, yeah.
If anyone's interested in the sanctuary aspect, we can talk after, and then I'll give you my email, and as we're developing the protocol for sanctuary, we can reach out as well.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
can
that
talk a
is
little
part
bit
of our
about-
sanctuary. So.
We would talk a little bit about what that means exactly. Like, is it, so, I mean, I read what it said here, and is it like,
That's what we're currently developing, because with the changes in the current administration has made, there's really no safe spaces for people to go where ICE cannot raid anymore. So what we're looking for is organizations that are willing to work with us, and we're creating a toolkit and an informational sheet in the process right now, so that if ICE does come, then you guys are prepared, or depending on what the different organizations, unions, and congregations have, what they can provide in mutual aid. We can provide trainings, knowledge, information, on how to support immigrants and anyone who is not safe in the U.S. right now. But that's something that's in discussion, and we're willing to work with anybody that has ideas as well. Sanctuary is an open conversation, so if you guys want to come to a sanctuary meeting, it's every Wednesday at Voces from 5 to 6:15. And I can get you connected there. We'd like it to be a safe place for people to go, but the reality is that that's not it anymore. So we're pivoting as we can.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest challenge for your organizing and what you're trying to accomplish?
Nice.
I mean,
No, I think our biggest challenges has been our community members, especially in the South Side, to know how to verify ICE, how do they react when ICE is in front of them, or potentially ICE, and having enough verifiers in those communities. Most of our verifiers have been not on the South Side, because a lot of the community members on the South Side are immigrant mixed status families that are afraid to be out there, and that's, it's very fair, and we don't want to put those community members at risk. But we also don't want to lean into the fear and have them further into the shadows, and that's part of our work, is really uplifting the immigrant community to lean away from the fear and stand much more unified with our immigrant community. For us that are DACA recipients, there's a small privilege of us being protected under DACA, but we have been really firm on not leaning into the shadows. But that's really been our biggest hurdle in this work, is working with our immigrant community, having them respond correctly. We see on Facebook sometimes people post things, and then it causes just immense fear, and then we have to organize to debunk that information, but also moving as quickly as we can, because ICE moves quickly. We notice ICE is out and about at 6 a.m. in the morning, and that's when we get our calls. And then they move so fast that sometimes we get there late, and we were unable to protect the family. But we have had some cases where we were able to protect family members, and they were not detained, and they were not taken, and it was because of community members who were able to respond quickly, and part of that was the Community Defense Network. So there's hope, but there's some cases that were not like that.
just to put it in perspective, how fast ICE can move is they were in and out at a house in 18 minutes, starting at like 6:21 a.m. a couple months ago. So that's the importance of verifiers being ready and being able to live close and take action.
And then I will add, legal funds have been also really difficult to get. When we do have a community member who has been detained and now they have to pay $7,000 to $10,000 for bond, that's been the hardest thing. Money. I wish I had billions, but you know, yeah. Did I see a hand? Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, interventions that you have with ICE, are they identified with ICE or I know like a massive and they have badges? Can you really determine if they're legitimate? Because there's people out there that have certainly take the opportunity to impersonate ICE and take advantage of people.
Yes. So I'll give two scenarios. First one was one of our responses, and I think you all saw it in the news. There was a man who was impersonating an ICE agent, went to the bar, in Waukesha. We had a verifier go and check because they were in an area where there's like a Mexican restaurant across the street. We were concerned for the workers that were leaving if this was the actual ICE agent and he was wearing a vest. And we went and we just basically made sure he didn't move and do anything going to the restaurant across the street or whoever. Then I think like 2 days later we find out that he went in trying to ask some agent do they need help because he's interested in helping ICE. And then they detained him for impersonating an ICE agent, which is good. But those are some of our fears is there's people who might be acting like ICE agents, and those are the ones we're also afraid of because we don't know how they're going to react. So that was one of our cases. And then another case with who we're seeing out there, there's FBI, there's HSI, ERO, am I missing one more? I think
Those are
that's
the main ones.
Those have been the main ones we've seen that are out. Some are masked, some are not. Some interrogate our verifiers. So our trainings have been really clear about not being alone when you're talking to ICE agents. Even if you're just recording, we've had a scenario where they went up to a verifier, and she was a very well-trained verifier. The ICE agent, he was Marshall. He went up to her and asked her for an ID, started asking her questions, where are you from, where do you live, who is this community watch, because we do not tell people that they're part of Voces or Comité. We tell them that they're part of community watch, neighborhood watch. And a lot of these agents are interrogating them, asking them these questions, who are these people, where are you working with, what is this, all of these questions that these agents are asking, and they're not responding who they are. We've been dealing with agents like that, and that's been also difficult for us to work with verifiers so that they know not to answer these questions, not to give out an ID, and just to be firm that they're part of a community watch so that they're not being targeted.
Just to tack on to that, different counties in the state of Wisconsin have the 287G agreement, so they get funding from the federal administration to have ICE come in and be part of the police departments. Waukesha is one of them. So you will see the local police with ICE agents as well.
Yes. Waukesha's one of them. There's 9 counties now that have signed that, the 287G. And those are our priorities where we want to get this network going. It's just finding people who are able to do this network because those counties are going to be the most vulnerable communities with this program. So if you know anybody in those 9 counties, I don't have the list, but if you look up 287G programs in Wisconsin, you'll have all that list. But Waukesha is one of them, which is a lot more, it's just a much more vulnerable community because of their collaboration with police. But yes, thank you for bringing that out. Any other questions? Is anyone interested in helping? I know we'll talk, but anyone else interested in helping our network or community with any other questions?
I'm sorry, I missed out a lot, but, so I did auxiliary work with, Oakland Police Department and with Second District MPD. Have you guys worked side by side with, Second Acevedo? and
Voces
MPD?
mainly works with police departments, and they communicate with them.
Yeah.
Comité doesn't, but Voces does. I'm not sure where their relationship is.
Well,
but
I know that Voices, because I've done like 15 years of voluntary work, and I know that Second District works like as an auxiliary officer, work closely with some of my friends that are in auxiliary work from Voices. So they did some community work, we've done events like that, but what I'm thinking is possibly, I don't know, like even MATC Waukesha, MATC Oak Creek, MATC downtown, most of my criminal justice professors, the group is called the CJSO students, so they're students to be police officers, but there's Hispanics there that can possibly help for security on calls at 6 in the morning to help and to be on the other side of the fence, helping, you know, like, let's say I need somebody at 7 in the morning, they're possibly trained, but I don't know, I understand the conflict and we're doing things too now that you mentioned it.
yeah.
But they're students, is
I was
what
gonna
I'm
say,
trying
they're
to say, if
students.
they're not in the police force,
Yeah.
like, for example, me, like, I've done volunteer work, I'm not a police officer, but I know so many students, I know so many students that became officers, but there's so many students that became attorneys, that became, they're
Mhm.
in these programs that may help, but I'll be willing to help for volunteer for
Thank you.
security, I do security,
Yes.
Kaiser Forum in different places.
That would be great. Because there wouldn't be any conflict with
Sure.
their students. And honestly, I think it's best to teach them of this work so that they are prepared of how people should be treated actually. So yeah, I think that we would be interested in seeing how we can work together and maybe we could provide them a training so that they know what this verifier is, what it looks like, and if they're interested in being part of it. Yeah, thank you. Well, that was it for us. Again, if you want to sign the form, just fill out how you'd like to help us and we'll reach out to you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank
This
you.
was-